Hello, it's time for another Root Tale. This is about defensive driving, both with a car or a truck, as we tend to do, or also a motorcycle. Now, this happened years ago at a place we'll call Can't Swing 'em Steel, and this was in California, inland a little bit from I-5, and we had a guy who was a field welder. His name was Doug, and Doug rode a motorcycle. Now in California, you can ride a motorcycle all the time, pretty much, year in, year out. The weather's pretty moderate, temperate, so that's all he ever did was ride the motorcycle to and from work, and then he'd take the work field truck and go out and do whatever welding needed to be done, and bring the truck back to the shop, pick up his motorcycle again, and off he would go. So one afternoon, got done with work, parked the field truck in the yard, grabbed his motorcycle, and took off up the street. Now, whether he was strictly speaking at fault or not is irrelevant, because he got up to an intersection which was not very far away from the shop, less really than a mile, and got into an accident, and a car hit him and killed him. So he had just been off work probably no more than 10 minutes, maybe 15, and took off, got to the intersection, and in that amount of time, he died, killed him instantly. So here's what we need to learn out of a situation like that. First of all, if you are riding a motorcycle, you have to be extremely careful, because there's plenty of other people around and they don't see you. I can testify that even driving around with a big truck, a lot of times people look at you and just pull out. They don't pay any more attention to the fact that you're coming than anything. So that's part of the problem, especially if you're in a motorcycle. You're smaller as far as profile goes. You're harder to see. It's difficult if you're riding a motorcycle. The other side of that, with regard to driving defensively, is not only do you have to drive very, very defensively if you are riding a motorcycle, but also if you are driving a vehicle, a car or a truck, to make sure to look for the lower profile people riding motorcycles or smaller vehicles, and to drive defensively too. Before you head out into an intersection, check both directions, make sure, and just give yourself enough time to be able to drive defensively, especially going through intersections. Now, in this particular case, Doug apparently never had a chance. He was out into the middle of the intersection, car killed him instantly, and he had, as I say, just probably not been off work more than 15 minutes. Now, he was a young man. He couldn't have been more than late 20s, and that was the end of his life. So this is the lesson today. Very, very strict, straightforward lesson, and that is if you're riding a motorcycle, be careful, drive defensively, look out for the person who's going to pull out in front of you or the person that's going to hit you. Be careful in that regard, especially if you're riding a lower profile vehicle like a motorcycle. If you are driving a truck, driving a car, once again, look very, very carefully, especially heading into intersections and situations like that. Accidents happen all the time. Some of them are fatal. And so in this particular case, this young man, just a few minutes away from his work, died instantly as a result of a motorcycle accident. So whether you are riding a motorcycle, whether you're driving a car, drive defensively, look out for the other person, and try to reduce the potential for these kinds of tragic accidents simply by paying attention to what's going on around you in traffic and watching out ahead, trying to see and take in as much of the scene ahead of you as possible, so that incidences like this hopefully will occur less. That's our Roo Tale for today. Remember Doug, and may he rest in peace. And I hope that you learn the lesson from that to drive defensively.